Joining us now is Riki Parikh, Policy Director at the Alliance for Secure AI. Talk about this case and the crux of the legal arguments. What's at play and at stake here?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a significant case. This is the first state enforcement action against an AI company. Every other prior lawsuit against OpenAI has been brought by private plaintiffs, individual families who are seeking damages for the harm that was caused. But when a state attorney general files a lawsuit, he's bringing that on behalf of the state, exercising its authority on behalf of its residents. And, the attorney general has subpoena power, investigative resources, and can seek remedies that actually change the product. He can demand court orders or get injunctions from the court that can change how the product shows up for everybody. So that's a significant shift from individual harm claims to the state saying this product is a public safety concern and needs to change. And the second one is, as you mentioned, this holding Sam Altman personally liable for the decisions that he made as CEO to prioritize growth and profit over safety.
So from where you sit, ChatGPT and OpenAI have responded, or Sam Altman have responded and said that they are working with millions of people every day, and their technology is for legitimate purposes. They continuously work to strengthen safeguards to detect harmful intent, limit misuse, and respond appropriately when safety risks arise. Is that true? And what does it look like?
So this complaint goes into great detail about the decisions that were made and the shortcuts that were made in this particular model, this ChatGPT 4.0 model that has been, the center of a lot of these harm cases. The complaint goes into detail about how there was a lot of competitive pressure on Sam Altman and OpenAI to beat Google to the market. And so they compressed the timeline for safety testing. They took some shortcuts, and that led to a lot of these harms. So these were specific decisions that were made that could have been prevented. I think it's important for the companies to build in those safeguards, but they do need to go further. And I think this is a good signal on not just Sam Altman, but all the AI CEOs that before you bring your product to market, you need to be very sure that the safeguards are in place and that you don't prioritize growth and engagement over your profits.
One of the conversations that I seem to be having, Riki, with a lot of people is just at the pace at which this technology has developed. And one, these companies have to have the desire to want to mitigate and prevent some of these things from happening. But two, they have to have the ability. And it has happened so fast. I talk to a lot of folks who wonder, can they? Has the train already left the station? And can they slow this down?
It's increasingly difficult. The competitive pressures are significant. There's also geopolitical pressure in order to beat us to China. But, as a society and as a republic, we should demand that we slow down and make sure that this is safe before it's publicly available. There's bipartisan support, broad bipartisan support. 80% of the public, Democrats and Republicans, have said that we should slow down. We should put safeguards in place. There should be testing and evaluations to make sure this product is safe before it's made available to the public. The people demand this. We're seeing bipartisan groups of leaders on the right and the left take action against these companies. Nothing's inevitable. We're building this technology. We can make the decisions to decide what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. I think over the last several months, we've been seeing a lot of people from the left and right standing up and saying, we want to slow down. We want safeguards in place. We want to make sure it's safe before we use it.
Right. But what does that rigorous gatekeeper look like? I mean, is there a system or an oversight or a platform or a process in which they have to get approval before launching to market?
Currently, no. And I think you're asking the right questions that our policymakers should be crafting and drafting this sort of legislation. And we've seen 3 states, most recently Illinois last week, created mandatory evaluation process that requires annual testing of the latest models. We see in other states like California and New York do the same. The federal government should take action. The president was drafting an executive order to require testing and build up the capacity at the federal level to do that testing, to make sure that it's safe before people use it. That executive order is stalled, but the demand is still there, and hopefully he moves forward, and if not, Congress moves forward to create that institutional capacity so that our government can hire the best experts to do the testing to make sure it's safe before people use it.
Yeah, I think I'm a fan of F1 and the series on Netflix. And all those cars have to go through such an intricate inspection before every single race. And if one thing is off, you don't race. Applying the same thing on a larger scale to AI technology may be necessary. Riki Parikh, thanks for your expertise and time.
Thanks so much.